Okay, I was asked to make a video about personal branding because I think Roseanne had seen me putting out a lot of content on LinkedIn, and she thought that some of the stuff that I was doing on LinkedIn was good, and perhaps I could share maybe some of the tips or just the things that I was doing. Now, I'm not an expert in this. I've read about it quite a bit, but I'm just figuring it out. I have found a few things that I think are working particularly well, and so that's what I'm going to share here. So the reason that I started to do more specifically with LinkedIn was I listened to a podcast, and it was a sales podcast. And the person that was talking on the podcast said, with all the events being cancelled as a result of COVID, it's very, and you can't go and, jump out and meet someone for a coffee or whatever, then the only way to build connections and network is by using digital, which means social media, which if you're thinking about the professional networks that we can be in, both in education and corporate. I don't know as much about education, but specifically corporate learning. Most of the professionals are there, they're on LinkedIn. So that's a good starting point. So he said to the point, like, if you've got a territory, now you think about the number of target accounts that are in your territory, is it 200, 300, 400, whatever it is. You think about the number of decision makers that are in there. So there may be 2-3 decision makers in each account. Obviously big enterprise accounts, that could be significantly more. But if you really focused in on that, how many months would it take you to connect with everyone that you want to have in your network? How probably not that many, like maybe 2-3 months if you really threw a lot of energy at it. So that is really struck a chord with me, because I'm one of these people that likes to be trying to do the best that I possibly can in my job, and realizing that if I didn't have a strategy for networking with professionals in LinkedIn, then I was failing at my job because I wasn't growing and expanding my network. You can make excuses, there's COVID, we're stuck at home, we can't do this, but it doesn't matter. Our targets didn't get less, we still have the same goals and objectives. So when I realized that, I said, right, I'm going to set about building my network. And so I started connecting with more and more people that are out there, that are in some of the target accounts that we have, that are some of the professionals that we want to work with. And then what I found over time is, like anything, you start off, you're really enthusiastic at the start, tons and tons and tons, maybe did 100 in the first week, right? Which is totally unsustainable because you get busy, you're distracted by other priorities. But then over time, one of the things I did find that was really sustainable was we meet with a bunch of prospects all the time. So every time I was in a Zoom meeting, I would look up after the Zoom meeting, everyone that was on the email invite for the Zoom meeting, invite all of them to connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you use the LinkedIn Outlook plugin, it makes that much easier. Connect with all of them. Great to meet you earlier. Let's connect. And about 99% of the people that you've just met are going to accept your LinkedIn connection because that's someone that you've just met. So why not? There's no we already know what we're getting. So I just started to do that, and then gradually, it's a handful a day or maybe every couple of days or whatever, and then over time you're building more and more relevant people in your network. So that's a good sustainable thing that you can stick to. It's a system. But the other kind of little hack to that as well is when you start to connect the relevant people that you've just met, LinkedIn will suggest, other people looked at, or you might know. And so you can then start to add and then do some cold outreach for related people, which is good because if you're already connected with some of these people, then they're more likely to accept your connection request. So that's good strategies for building the network. Now, once you have the network, you've got to do something with it. And actually, the more you do with it, the more it grows, because people like and they comment and they share your content if you're lucky, if you create something that's engaging, and then more people see that, and then they think, who is this person, who is this company, who is this product, and then they're more likely to connect with you, but at least they're getting exposure to the content, if nothing else. So try to find a magic formula for content that gets likes, that gets comments, that gets shares, but also furthers our message and our pitch and our value proposition. Now, obviously, sharing product content, why is Brightspace the number one LMS in the world? Cool, people are going to read that, and if they're interested, then good quality product content might advance them further down the sales process. But the reality is you've got to think much more what marketing talk about, top of the funnel. You've got to think much more about things that are going to be interesting, engaging, maybe a little bit entertaining, maybe a little bit cringy, maybe a little bit edgy, things that are going to be interesting, things that are going to get eyeballs, and then you can potentially, add something that reinforces the brand, the message, the content that you want to get across. Now, for anyone that's connected with me on LinkedIn, they've probably been maybe either quite interested if they're into gardening, or completely bored by the fact that I've been doing a series featuring my plant. Now, it's quite difficult to think up content, but actually people like stories, and if you know much about storytelling, we won't go into it here, but people like journeys and stories. People are all accepting of the fact that they get bought into a journey. So I've been having a little bit of fun with my plant. My wife was about to throw out an almost dead plant, and I decided to bring it back from the dead and revive it and look after it. But I used that as a little series where I'm sort of like creating a little bit of fun round about, oh, look how the plant's growing. This is a bit like learning and development, and I created parallels with learning and development and the growth of the plant. And I'm just really having a bit of fun with it. But in between times, I'm also sort of weaving in a little bit of the message and the pitch, and the fact that I am a person that's really interested in learning and development. I'm interested in corporate learning. I'm interested in, personal growth, health, well-being, all of these types of things that resonate with the audience that I am interested in engaging with. And people start to then identify, oh, that's great, oh, that's very interesting. And then once you do that and you really start to get into the persona and that audience and you see what's interesting to them, you find other content to share. So for example, I was down at our office in London for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and the world's changed post-pandemic, and I was thinking, what content am I going to share? And I was looking out the window of the office, and there's beehives on the roof of the pub next to the office, right, which is pretty cool. But it's just another sign that sustainability and well-being and things are being prioritised. So I decided to create a little post about it. And there's somebody I know, I've been trying to, in my network for ages, been trying to get some engagement with them. And they just said, oh, like a head of talent at a big company. And they just saw it and shared it and went, oh, isn't this fantastic? And then more people in our network saw that as well. So I haven't managed to sell Brightspace to her yet, just to be clear. But in terms of an engagement vehicle, just thinking about content that's interesting, remarkable, amusing in some way, something that just it's different, right? And that's not to say that you can't every couple of days maybe push out a corporate blog or a story about a customer or a case study or an award we've been nominated for and things. It's not to say that you can't do that, but actually having more thought about content that resonates with your network, with your audience, is key to getting engagement. And the last thing I'll say about this is you have to commit to it, and you have to do it consistently. A lot of people pile into it and they're like a superhero for 2 weeks. They're doing live videos, they're putting out pictures, they're sharing, memes and all that, and they're really, really going for effort, and then it just drops off and people are not sure whether they're still, in business. So the key thing is to keep doing it on a sustainable basis. And if you feel daunted by it and you feel like it's too much of a challenge to create content that you can come up with every day or whatever, just do it twice a day, twice a week. Just say, on a Monday and on a Thursday, I'm going to do a post. And the Monday post is going to be about something inspirational. The Thursday post is going to be something more product centric or something like that. And just have a little system and just know. And then every time you're scrolling through LinkedIn and the web and stuff like that, just bookmark stuff, put it in a notepad in your phone, or favorite it or something like that in your browser. And then when it comes around to the Monday or the Thursday or whatever, you can just start to file that that content out. You can also, even if it's a third party thing that you're sharing, you can still put your own stamp on it, and you can say, hey, I saw this really great article, it really reminds me of customer ABC, or it really reminds me of how we've managed to help organizations do X. So there's a lot that you can do there if you just keep a simple system and a cadence of regularly doing it, but and consistently putting some value out to the network. Okay, so went on for a bit longer than planned, which is always what I end up doing. However, the key things to take away from this are: commit to building your network on LinkedIn, professionals, relevant people that are in the audience that you want to target. So we're talking decision makers and target accounts there. So you've got to connect with them regularly, after every meeting, and then look at the recommended people, connect with them. think about sharing content that's valuable, do it consistently, have a plan how you're going to do it, and then do things that are both factual, useful, but also like interesting, entertaining in some type of way. And, just try and have a little bit of fun with it. There's a lot of bland stuff out there, like let your personality come through, try and have a little bit of fun with it. A lot of people are going to think it's a bit cringy. Who cares? Some people won't, some people resonate with it, but you've just got to get out there and do it. So good luck with it. Anyone wants to chat about it anymore, feel free to message me. Also, connect with me on LinkedIn and you can find out how the plant is getting along on its growth journey. Thank you.